Welcome to Divisive Issues, a comic book podcast where we talk about controversial and noteworthy comic books. I'm Ryan.
I'm Sly.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Darryl.
We made it!
Hey! Well, actually, two of us didn't make it today.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Good night, sweet princes.
Rip and pepperoni.
Cyclops and Wolverine.
Spoilers!
You guys ready to talk about the X-Men?
The death of Wolverine. Spoilers.
Yeah. I wonder who dies in this. Actually, in Death of Cyclops is a spoiler because the title is called Death of X, not Death of Cyclops.
The cover is Cyclops' big face, though.
His big stupid face.
When you guys suggested this, I didn't actually read whether you guys said this was good or bad or why we were reading it. So I
thought you were going to say, when you guys suggested this, I didn't read it, so I wouldn't have to say anything about it.
It's like how for our Suicide Squad episode, I'm like, I'm not rewatching this fucking movie.
So I went in blind, and I was a little surprised. But I guess I'll save it for when we get to them.
Okay.
So first, we're going to talk about The Death of Wolverine by Charles Soule and Steve McNiven. If you remember Steve McNiven, he drew Nemesis.
Yeah. The prestigious work.
And Civil War.
You know, I was going to say, because when I was reading through this, I'm like, I really like the art in this. And I had the same compliment for Nemesis.
Number one Nemesis fan.
Yeah, McNiven's art is really great. And this is a better example of Nemesis. It's more... Again, might just be the coloring between this and Nemesis, but this like pops better for me and feels more appealing to me.
Didn't he do Old Man Logan?
I've never read it.
I think he did. So he's like, I know he's done Wolverine stuff in the past, but I think he's perfect for this book.
But the funny thing is, Charles Soule never did Wolverine stuff in the past. Which is one thing I want to point out. This is really weird because none of the people working on X-Men or on Wolverine worked on the story. The ones who were in charge of those universes worked on the story.
Charles Soule was a relative newcomer to comics, too, at the time.
Yeah, so this feels like very much like an editorial mandate. Like, it doesn't matter what the writers of Wolverine and X-Men want to do. Wolverine's dead, and we're having this outsider come in and write this.
I was going to say, that seems really bizarre. Just taking this outside team and be like, you guys kill this character for us.
Yeah.
Kill this character who is one of the most famous X-Men.
Mm-hmm. One of the most famous fictional characters. Like, it's Wolverine. Everybody knows who Wolverine is.
Yeah.
But, so this came out in September and October of 2014. So it's pretty new, but it's not, like, brand new. And I know this is going to sound silly, but this came out 2.5 years ago, and he's still dead. So, like, he's still dead. That counts for something. Usually comic book characters are gone for, like...
now they have Old Man Logan.
They have Old Man Logan, yeah. But...
We'll talk about time-traveling X-Men replacing the dead X-Men.
That'll be, like, the midpoint.
Oh, comic books.
But this was... Had that happened? Yeah, that happened.
Not yet. The Old Man Logan?
No, but time travel stuff had started, yeah. But whatever. And usually comic book characters stay dead for like a year, but he's been dead for a while, so maybe he'll stay dead. I don't know.
Probably not.
We'll see.
Hopefully.
We were just talking about how famous he is.
Yeah. I was actually thinking, like, I've had an anti-Wolverine bias for a long time. I think it's because of Sly when we were younger. Him always being like, he gets all the credit and the fame, and everyone thinks he's the most famous X-Men, but really, Cyclops is the one that holds the team together, and Professor X, and like everyone else in like mainstream culture just thinks about Wolverine. But I've always kind of agreed with that, where I'm like, he is a cool character, but he's not like the definitive X-Men.
Wolverine's central conflict is not the central conflict of the X-Men. Like, the central conflict of the X-Men is the evil mutants versus the good mutants trying to win over humanity. Wolverine's central story is about his past.
Yeah.
Weapon X stuff like that. You can't say Wolverine is like the central team of the X-Men because he's not. He's a very important player, but he's a soldier in the war being waged between Professor X and Magneto.
Sly, I have a question. Do you not like Wolverine because Cyclops gets cucked by him?
Yeah, pretty much.
If you're talking about specifically Jean Grey stuff, I don't really mind. I mean more the cucking, like in thematic sense, where Wolverine really literally
thematic cucking.
Like he literally will take Cyclops' role in the team and eat it up, and now be Wolverine and Cyclops hybrid. During the 2000s, that was so constant. Like in X-Men 3, where Wolverine became the leader of the team and all this stuff. Like that's what I hate.
You can fuck my wife, but don't take my role in the X-Men.
He's also in, like, every Avengers team and every X-Men spin-off. Like, he's, like, the Batman of the Marvel Universe. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, every story has to be a Wolverine story now. That's cool.
And just like with Batman, usually it doesn't make much sense why, like, he'll be this important.
That's true. He does have, like, the kind of cool, loner, misunderstood allure that Batman does.
And just like Batman, they have good video games based on them.
Yeah. X-Men Origins Wolverine is a cool video game. Go check it out.
It used to be that, like, Wolverine had his solo book, and then, like, in the X-Men, he was, like, just a member of the team. And then as time went on, he became, like, the poster boy over, like, more and more and more and more.
Yeah. Originally, he was the poster boy of the X-Men, then now he's, like, the poster boy of Marvel in general, along with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like, on that
but
level.
one thing to point out, though, that I know we've mentioned on the show before, but one of the reasons why I think Wolverine might stay, like, the regular Wolverine might stay dead is
It's because they have a time travel go over and replace him. We know that, Ryan.
Okay, no, not that. Is Perlmutter the CEO of Marvel?
I don't know.
Whatever. The head of Marvel is a super, super petty, shitty guy. He's also a big Trump supporter, so whatever. But he hates...
No crossover of our shows, right?
I know. Yeah. He hates...
Ooh, just like politics, title's relevant.
He absolutely hates that Marvel isn't allowed to use X-Men in their movies, so he won't give Fox anything. Like, if they print merch, they Photoshop out X-Men characters. I mean, comic book covers, they'll just shop out Fantastic Four and X-Men characters. So I could see them leaving him dead.
That's a really good point. I'll say that he'll probably come back if Marvel ever regains the rights to the X-Men.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, they have no reason to bring back any big X-Men characters.
And it's not just spite, to clarify Ryan's point. That guy is a spiteful motherfucker, and he's an old-fashioned asshole. But it also, what happens when Marvel creates a character under the X-Men license, Fox will get the rights to use that in their movies. So basically, you're creating a character concept, and now you're denying your access to it in the movies and giving it to Fox.
Yeah, but that's not gonna, that doesn't affect Wolverine. It would affect Wolverine characters, yeah. But
for example, one character, what created in 2000s after the licensing thing was a character called Ink, who had the power to, he puts tattoos on his body and mimics other people's powers. He was in X-Men, Days of Future Past, even though that was after the rights deal. So, you create a character like Ink, and maybe we want to use him for, a movie. Now you can't, because now Fox has the rights to him. You created him.
Yeah.
So, why do that?
So there is a creative element too, but I just like to call Perlmutter a piece of shit whenever I can.
Yeah. So, getting into the story, we don't have to go into the concepts, because the concept is Death of Wolverine, Death of Cyclops.
Yeah, that's your elevator pitch.
Yeah. So, I don't know as much about this. Maybe Ryan knows more. But the setup to the story was that Wolverine lost his healing factor prior to the story and is slowly dying from various things that his healing factor.
I've never read any of that stuff, but I think he has a nanovirus he caught in hell.
In hell?
Sure.
I could be wrong about that, because I don't...
Someone else went to hell in this, right? Or that was in the other...
That was the other one. We'll get to that one.
I don't read a whole lot of Solo Wolverine, because like Sly, I'm not a big Wolverine fan either. So, I don't know. But he doesn't have his healing factor.
How can you get a virus in hell?
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Do you want to talk about the science of hell?
Yeah, what was the chemical composition of chemicals in hell? Yes.
It's sulfur.
And brimstone. That's not a chemical. Everything's a chemical.
But one of the problems of Wolverine using his healing factors keeping at bay was the fact that, when you stab people with metal claws and retract those bloody metal claws into your body, you're probably gonna get bacteria and shit.
And also, when you have a bunch of metal in your body, that's not good either.
Yeah, but the reason why I bring up the claws is because Reed Richards is inspecting Wolverine and says, don't use your claws, because you're probably going to slowly kill yourself the more you stab people, put their blood into your body. And
you're going to get some kind of infection you meet the first time you do that.
Yeah.
And also you're creating holes in your hands.
Yeah.
All the things Wolverine does are actually terrible, for a person to do to themselves unless they can magically regenerate.
At least he stopped smoking cigars.
Oh, that's because, Joe Quesada did that because he hates smoking. Fun fact.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, smoking's bad, so...
Joe Quesadilla.
But, Wolverine is talking to Reed Richards about this fact, and even though Reed Richards is telling him, don't use your claws, Wolverine knows he'll probably have to, because if anyone finds out that he lost his healing factor...
I'm on 8 superhero teams. I have to use my claws.
And we cut to the modern day where he just finished using his claws, killing a bunch of people. And I like this element because you could tell, immediately there's a timer on Wolverine where he has to use his claws, but he's slowly killing himself while doing it. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, like the X-Wing game for NES.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
It's canon!
It's canon! With every swing, he gets weaker.
Gotta go get hamburgers, restores vitality.
And is this when Wolverine's just, chilling on that island?
Yeah, this is later. So first he goes, he kills a bunch of people that fought him before the island. Then he goes to a bar. He goes to a bar to get some hamburgers, to refill his health from all the claw usage. And there, Kitty Pryde, Ella Page in the movies, calls him, and she clearly worried about him. But he hangs up on her, and he gives a note to the bartender.
That conversation's so silly because he just like calls her to hear her voice, and she's like, "I'm worried about you," and he's like, "Bye, bub."
Yeah, he just hangs up on her. He's like,
so rude.
I did it.
You think after like hundreds of years he learned some manners?
Or you just stop giving a fuck after that long.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
I think that's probably what would happen.
I would probably not say goodbye to conversations anymore, just like I do in movies.
Sly, you don't say goodbye to us already.
Yeah. I don't even say hi to you guys anymore. Like, when do I even talk to you? Like, yeah. But, he hangs up on Kitty, and he gives a note to the bartender before leaving. Then, Nuke. If you watch Jessica Jones, you know Simpson from Jessica Jones. In the comics, he's a character called Nuke, who is like the super ultra patriot who paints an American flag on his face.
I had no idea that was the same character.
Yeah.
He's like a fat metal man.
Yeah.
How is that?
For some reason, he got really pudgy in the story. I don't know when he gained weight, but usually he's pretty buff. But
well, America.
Yeah.
The obesity epidemic's out of control.
Yeah, but that was my biggest disappointment. Jessica Jones, he didn't draw a fucking American flag on his face. Like, fuck. But yeah, so he comes to the bar with all his soldier buddies, and he asks about the bartender where Wolverine went, and he breaks the bartender's gun when the bartender shoves his gun to his face. And
he has superpowers?
He has. I think in the story,
the serum.
I think in this story he probably got like a metal exoskeleton. I don't know. Originally he was just
he's a robot.
Usually he just takes pills to get Captain America's powers.
Yeah, just like in the Jessica Jones show. But I guess they upgraded him recently. And so bartender shows him the note, and it's not like a note for the bartender. It's a note for people like Nukes, showing a map to an island, basically saying, "Come on, you cowards!" Basically, come and get me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I think he meant like, "Come on, you cowards!" Like,
Yeah.
"Come on, cowards!"
Yeah, he's saying you guys are cowards, and you should come on you. He's just like cursing at them.
Guys.
Oh man, if you stop listening here, that's okay. I don't blame you.
We don't blame you. But how'd you last this long?
That's what I was about to say. You're gonna listen to everything, and that's where you draw the line.
I want to stop listening here.
That was the final episode, just so you guys know. Yeah. So Wolverine is waiting on a small island, and basically Nuke sends scouts to go check out the island, and basically it turns out he booby trapped the island, and he kills like the scouts.
Yeah.
Then he capsizes Nuke's boat, and as Nuke and him swim for shore, Wolverine starts killing them all. Like
I love that, like a shark.
Yeah, like a shark, exactly.
It even shows like their blood under the water, and it's like if he can't get out his maybe he just has a knife. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense if you think about it, because Wolverine can't even swim with his fucking skeleton theoretically. But
yeah, it's really heavy.
Especially because he's like, only because you're such a buff guy can you even walk around with this.
Yeah, maybe he's walking on the bottom of the ocean, pulling them down and killing them.
Maybe.
He doesn't have a healing factor, but he can hold his breath for hours waiting for this boat to get here.
Yeah. So then Nuke sees the beach. When he arrives on the beach, he sees that's covered of millions of dead bad guys, all different types, ninjas.
I love this so much. It's such a comic-y thing where he washes up on shore. There's dead robots, dead ninjas, dead guys in hazmat suits with backpack, like jetpacks. It's just like it's like a minefield of just dead comic book villains.
Yeah, goons.
Yeah. So Nuke and Wolverine face off, and as they're fighting, Wolverine's being kind of a pushover because he's getting weaker as they fight. But he still manages to beat Nuke, and he basically demands Nuke tell him who he's working for. And Nuke tells him he's only doing it for the money. He was here to bring Wolverine for Madam Hydra, a.k.a. Viper. If you watch the second Wolverine movie, you saw a really awful portrayal of Viper. But
spoilers.
She's not a bald lady who breathes acid and overacts terribly. She's actually a former Hydra agent in the comics who uses poisons to kill people, and she also used to be married to Wolverine.
Married?
Yeah.
They mentioned this in the comic. He's like, "Oh, my ex-wife."
Yeah. And it also turns out that she has Sabretooth on a chain leash.
Sabretooth's just like bad Wolverine.
Yeah, you probably know Sabretooth.
Yeah, you probably know Sabretooth.
Yeah.
But if you don't, he's just bad Wolverine.
I think my main complaint with this comic is that it's not geared towards me. It's clearly geared towards someone that knows the history behind Wolverine and everyone he's related to, where it's like, hey, look, it's Nuke, isn't this cool? And Viper, and some of the later characters that'll show up. Like, I only knew one or two from the comic or the show.
You can still follow along with this one.
I'm saying
it's not like Death
but
of
it's
X.
not like it doesn't fill me with the same excitement as like some other comics, because it's like, I don't know who this is. So when they're talking about like how dangerous, like I have to go see Viper and that city that she like runs or is a part of. Like, I'm not like, oh, this is so cool. He's back in Madripoor.
Yeah. If you know Wolverine only through like the movies or TV show, this comic references a lot of stuff that never got adapted to anything, so you have to be purely a fan of the comics. So like this is not like it's something that rewards just mainstream Wolverine fans. Like you can still follow along, but you're not going to feel like, wow.
Yeah, you can follow, but I'm not blown away when it's like it's Viper that's behind this. I'm like, who? His ex-wife?
Yeah.
Having said that, though, I feel like this book, I actually like this book. I think it walks the line pretty well where, like Phil said, it's not hard to follow. And, like, if it's the death of a character, like, I feel like it should have these things in it. Like, it should have a lot of Wolverine stuff in it because it's supposed to be his farewell.
Yeah, I can concede to that point. It's just tough as a non-fan of Wolverine trying to read about him dying, and they're throwing in all these characters for, like, one last moment they're having with Wolverine.
Yeah. I do have to say that I did feel like when I first read it, and I don't know a lot of solo Wolverine stuff, I was like, I don't really know who Viper is all that well. I don't really give a shit about Madripoor, but like I still felt by the end it comes together pretty well.
Yeah, I kind of might as well talk about thoughts now, but my thoughts are actually with Darryl, and it's interesting to hear outsiders' perspective because I was not sure if I was just overthinking what an outsider would think. But I know Madripoor. I actually probably know the most about Wolverine out of all of you. A humble brag.
Yeah,
but reading this, I did not feel. I feel like it's structured like a casual book where it's 4 parts, like in a mini series, very it should be self-contained in that format. It's using an outside writer to tell the story, but at the same time, like it's not in continuity with the current X-Men status quo because it's not the same writers and whatever.
I think that's a good thing.
I know, but at the same time, it's not doing either or really well. It's not really being a really great continuity story or really being good new reader friendly story. It's just kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
like
that's a
really,
good point.
I think the main reason why I like it is I find the Viper stuff not great, but I think the last issue is really strong. But we'll get to that. So.
Yeah,
I liked it, but I think it probably was just in comparison to the other one.
All right, issue 2.
This issue is Poison, and he goes to Madripoor and he gets into a club. Well, first he gets.
So Madripoor is this like super crime-ridden city in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's supposed to be like Singapore or.
It's kind of like based on those areas.
Yeah,
judging off the name at least.
Yeah, because like in the like early '90s, Wolverine had an identity called Patch, and he's kind of like a vigilante mercenary type in Madripoor.
Yeah, so this is like a big like where Wolverine would go to do like noir stuff sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it because he goes to this club. And he asks to, like, see this guy that knows Viper, and he's like, hey, I have this sweet thing for you.
He's in disguise, and I use the term loosely.
He has a beard.
He has a beard.
And sunglasses. And he hands this guy a bag that has an Iron Man helmet in it that's, like, the newest version of it. So he's like, oh, this is so cool. I have to, like, I gotta bring this to Viper.
Yeah, he's trying to sell it to Viper. That's his in.
Mm-hmm. Wolverine's in, yeah.
Yeah, so then he goes to see Viper, and then she gets, like, obviously upset because it's like, hey, this is Wolverine. Like, how could this
obviously Wolverine?
Yeah, how could you not tell?
So then she sends her Mortal Kombat dressed assassins after him, and you get, like, the cool Nemesis style action where it's just, like, it's all completely silent, and it's spread across multiple different panels, so it's Wolverine taking out all these guys. And then they talk for a bit, and she tells him that her contract on him is a contract from another guy, and they need him alive.
Nuke actually said this back on the island too, that they're not trying to kill Wolverine; they're trying to bring him in alive.
Yeah,
and that's important.
I actually like that point a lot because I feel like when you have that many dudes, it's like, how did none of those guys kill Wolverine? But like, it's a lot harder to not like to take somebody alive than it is to just like snipe.
Yeah, he's also. Yeah. I don't know. He's Wolverine. He's really skilled. I could see him. Just taking dudes.
He's the best at what he does.
So then, because, I don't know Viper, so she's like, I want you to fight Sabretooth since I have him on a leash.
I think it's more that, like, Sabretooth is your nemesis, so you have to fight him in this book.
Yeah, like, it's just, like, a lot of this stuff is, like, mandatory. Like, everyone who is, like, super important to Wolverine shows up at some point. So, Sabretooth is here, even though, like, he really has no reason to be here, but he's here because Viper has him as a prisoner.
Yep, so then they start fighting each other. Sabretooth, with his claws, slashes out Wolverine's eye. Wolverine throws the Iron Man helmet at him, and it explodes.
One thing that I really like about this fight is there's a page in the middle of the fight that's a big flashback to, like, lots of different fights they had.
I like
Wolverine was in, like, his yellow costume, and there's, like, and it's them like slashing each other as they keep healing, because Sabretooth has the same healing factor, and it's only for 2 pages, so I don't think it's super fan servicey, but like it was cool to see, like, even if you don't really know their history, it's like, oh, they've obviously done this a lot.
Yep, and it's rendered really well, and it is. I like that touch too.
The art is really nice too, like we said before.
Yeah.
So they're fighting, and you're not sure if Wolverine's going to win or anything, because Sabretooth has him on the ground, and then behind him, Deathstrike, another lady with big claw hands and healing, right?
If you watch X2, she's the woman that Wolverine fights with the claws. Mm-hmm. In the comics, she's basically Wolverine's rival because she believes he stole her father's adamantium formula for himself, and that's how he got the claws. But if you know X2, you know how she looks like and how she fights, and etc., etc.
One thing that I forgot to mention that I think is really cool, in the writing, there's narration throughout the
I was
going
to
to
bring this up, yeah.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So there's narration throughout the whole series. It's 3 different narration boxes that I thought was interesting because they're differently colored. There's a blue one, a yellow one, and a red one. And what is the blue is whatever Wolverine smells. It just does like a 1-word or 2-word blurb.
Like
and then,
burning, poison.
Sour.
Yep, and then the yellow is whatever he hears, so it's like a silence or rustling or snicket. And then the red is wherever there's pain, like wherever he's feeling pain.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
I thought that was really cool. I didn't feel like there was any kind of like, it didn't wrap up in an interesting way at the end that I could notice. Like, I thought that was so neat, but it's like, what are you doing with it beyond just it being there?
Yeah, it doesn't build up to anything. Like, there's especially at the end where you feel like he should be.
Yeah,
like,
there could be, you could do cool stuff with the text boxes like crumbling.
I'll get to it at the end, but I think it does have a payoff.
Okay, cool. So Deathstrike jumps on Sabretooth, and she just starts jabbing him in the back with her claws, and then he's out of commission. Although Wolverine tells her it's like, don't kill him. And then
we've done this fight so much, you can't kill him while he's chained up on his knees. Like, he deserves better than that.
Yeah,
even though Sabretooth is a fucking serial killer, Wolverine's gonna be nice to him.
Yeah,
Wolverine's also a serial killer.
Yeah, that's what Sabretooth is like. You're the same as me. You just want to fight each other at our full strength and kill each other. It's like, you don't want a woman killing me.
One of the big things about Wolverine though is he's always supposed to be this like samurai character that like he kills everyone in combat, but he's not. He's like noble about it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of samurai,
yeah.
So that's when Deathstrike and Wolverine are talking, and she explains that the contractor that hired Viper, and I like that Viper just disappeared off panel. That's great.
Why would she stay?
No, but it's like it doesn't even show it, at least from what I could see, and it's just Deathstrike coming and being like, "You're talking to me now." Like, this is the story.
Like Wolverine should have turned around and be like, "Oh, Deathstrike's gone." I mean, Vapor's done.
Yeah, but it's weird that she just leaves.
You could do just like one little picture or something of her running out there being like, this isn't going well for me, instead of Deathstrike having to say Viper ran away.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, it makes sense that she would leave, because why would she stay to see Wolverine win?
Deathstrike explains that the contract that's out on Wolverine is for everyone with adamantium in their body, like everyone that's just like them.
Yeah.
And then she realizes because his wounds aren't healing that he has lost his healing factor. So she's like, oh, I can trade you... Oh, I forgot to mention that a guy that's hunting them is Ogun, which is this ghost.
I'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Lord Ogun? Yeah, so it's this ghost assassin is looking for them. So she's like, hey, I'm going to bring you in, so that way I can bargain for my life, because I'll have you instead. And then before she's able to do anything, Kitty Pryde appears behind them, and she phases her hand through Deathstrike's body.
Yeah.
And that's how the issue ends. It's like, will she materialize the hand and kill Deathstrike?
Yeah.
Yeah. So issue 3, called Seppuku, is it's mostly Kitty, and this is when they talk about Lord Ogun. And Ogun was a character in the 80s that has popped up a lot, but he's basically like a super ninja samurai that possesses people's bodies. And the reason why he's used here is because there was a miniseries called Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, and it was like one of the early solo Wolverine things, and it like really established Kitty and Wolverine's relationship, where like Kitty was like this cute bubbly character, and then she became like a hardened X-Man who knows like, you know, what it's like to be hurt and stuff like that. So that's why they
so Wolverine was her mentor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you like, it later was done again with Jubilee, and like Wolverine is like this mentor character for a lot of people, but Kitty was the first, and Kitty's relationship with Wolverine is one of the things that humanized him when he was still just like kind of a serial killer, the muscle of the team.
Yeah.
And that's I don't think the miniseries is like amazing enough to need a whole issue that's referencing it here, but it's an important part of his character.
Hogan was like his master, Wolverine's master too. It wasn't like he's just a random guy.
Oh, I forgot.
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah, they bring that up in the comic. I was like, oh, this is a thing too?
So like if you're gonna bring up Wolverine's samurai side, you should bring up like the guy who trained him in the martial arts.
Yeah. So basically, Deathstrike doesn't think Kitty's gonna kill her, and she's like calling her bluff, and Kitty basically shows that she's serious, and she's a little edgier than the usual Kitty we see. So she leaves.
She's an edgelord.
She shows she's serious by blowing up Deathstrike's hand.
Yeah, exactly.
How can? Never mind.
Yeah, but anyway,
you ask me how it happens. Basically,
I'm just like, when you materialize inside someone, like you crush them, but they crushed you too, right?
Yeah, Newton's third law. But whatever, comic books. So
yeah, comics.
So Wolverine starts to pass out, and Kitty injects him with a serum that compensates for the missing healing factor. So he like heals the slashed eye.
A minor aside, but I thought it would have been so cool as this goes on. They get to see how bad Wolverine is by the end, where like he really like this is the end for him. Instead of just like here's the thing that gives him his like eye back.
It still scars him though. Like it doesn't fully heal him. He has like bad face scars and stuff. But I
can get what Daryl's saying, because the whole point is that you're slowly getting weaker and weaker, and you're creating this little cheat thing.
Yeah, where you're like, here, this isn't as bad now. It's like,
it's like Senzu beans from Dragon Ball. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
They just feel cheap.
Yeah.
And it's not even in Logan the movie. They actually
Don't
have
spoil.
It's not spoilers, but they have something similar. But in the movie, it's very clear that even though the medicine in the movie drives him past his physical limits, it's very clear that it's unnatural for him to be that state. While here, he's more fine afterwards.
Yeah. So then it's them like sitting in like it looks like kind of where Mulan lives. And their Kitty's...
That's racist.
Yeah, I was gonna say China.
This is Japan.
This is Japan. This is glorious Nippon.
It's got the trees and everything, and they're sitting on like a little island, like where the family thing is.
Yeah, no,
I think it really looks.
I don't
like
think it's
Mulan's
actually racist.
If it is, I'm so sorry. So Wolverine's talking about how he's thinking like maybe he should just kill himself because all he does is bring suffering to everything.
I thought this was astoundingly bleak in the middle of this, because not once is he like, I should just kill myself, but here he's like, maybe I should just kill myself to Kitty.
Yeah.
Wolverine's journey doesn't feel earned in a lot of ways. Like, if it doesn't feel like we get to see, because like he's by himself because he doesn't want to see anyone get hurt around him. So because this is not following up on another story and this is supposed to be standalone, we don't get to see why he's not going to Avengers for help with these matters. He's not going for X-Men for help with these matters. We don't get to see him going more and more desperate, being by himself. We don't get to see that. He's just like, it just feels like out of nowhere, part 3, he's just like, I want to die now.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that's very fair. So Kitty's response to Wolverine trying to kill himself is, I'm gonna make out with you now. And that's not a thing that like they ever do.
No, she kisses him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, whoa, we weren't like that before.
Yeah, he's like, that's weird. And then she basically starts like yelling at him that every woman he loves dies, and he's like, "You're not Kitty, you're Ogun."
Yeah.
And
I made out with my master. Yeah. It's like Darryl.
Wait, what do you mean? It's like me.
You're our master. You're our senpai.
You're our master. Yes, Matt Darryl.
I forgot. Technically, it's Sensei.
Yeah.
So then they fight, and it's like a ninja fight, and they're using lots of martial arts.
It's a samurai fight.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm so terrible.
Yeah.
And I think this part's really weird, where Wolverine gets knocked into, like, it looks like a museum where they have a bunch of samurai weaponry. And
a dojo?
Okay, do dojos have everything in glass cases like this?
I don't know.
This looks like a warehouse.
Either way, this is so forced.
Okay, either way, under all the armor, they have little plaques. That's a fucking museum.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah.
you.
But it is, Phil's right, it is forced, because this is a way to be like, oh, Wolverine dons his samurai armor, he's going to fight as a samurai.
Yeah, like literally mid-fight, he gets knocked into another room, but the next panel, he's wearing a full set of armor.
Yeah.
Which is like, how
How is Ogun so slow for being a master assassin?
Like you can have bring back Wolverine's samurai origin, have him fight his master, but you know how he makes it more believable? Like he finds a samurai sword and they have a samurai sword duel.
Yeah, give him a katana.
So they fight and he takes the armor off right away.
Yeah, it's such a stupid forced thing. Like he wears this is when I was like, this comic is not good. When he just because they want to have that full page spread of him in his armor, which looks cool, but like it's like he puts on the armor for 2 seconds and then takes it off immediately.
Yeah. So Kitty is now also fighting Ogun, like, you know, taking back control of her possessed body. And they win because basically he can't fight both of them at once, so Ogun just bounces and leaves Kitty and Wolverine.
He bounces like literally, like he has bouncing powers now.
Yeah, he bounces. He's like Bouncing Boy from the Legion of the Superheroes.
Exactly.
I was gonna say Flubber.
Just like Flubber. And Kitty has found out who's the one who set the bounty on Wolverine. So she says the name Abraham Cornelius, which I forgot who he was every time I read this, but he is the scientist who was behind Weapon X.
Yeah. That was one of those things where, like, I assumed it, but when they just say the name, they don't even have Wolverine say the man who made me or anything like that. He just says Old Bones to refer to him as.
You know what'd be really cool now that you thought about it? If they actually had, since they're doing like this retrospective, if they had at the back of an issue, like a lot of stories that do this where they reference a lot of history, they have at the back of an issue, they reprint the original story the character was in. Like if they had a reprint of the original Weapon X story, which is from the 80s.
I think it's one of the best Wolverine stories there is.
Yeah, if they reprinted that and you saw Cornelius, how he fucking made Wolverine into an animal, how he was a monster, that would have made this comic 10 times better.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I had no idea about, like, I know not that much about his backstory besides he was an experiment.
What's funny too is looking at the page where she says that there's a panel of like him when Wolverine hears who it is, and it just shows his face and it's a black backdrop behind him, and it's like I realized he could have just put like a little thing there to hint when Wolverine was being made,
like him being poked in a tube,
or just him in like the Wolverine, like in the Weapon X like vat is such an iconic image.
But I think it'll be really cool if they, for like this final story, if they reprinted like an issue of Shadowcat and Wolverine, an issue of Weapon X, an issue.
Oh yeah,
of,
it's like a callback to let you see
and what they're talking about.
That'd be a good like way to get people to buy those books too. Because you'd be like,
and it's also a good way to make this trade. You could make it twice as expensive.
You guys should work for Marvel.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
They don't like Trump, so too bad.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So then Wolverine's like, he's chasing after Ogun's ghost, and there's just some dead Wolverine villain.
Not literally a ghost. Ogun possessed another person, and now that guy is possessed by Ogun. He's running after that guy, no possessed guy.
Yeah.
Not actually a ghost. It's not like Wolverine's floating around, and Wolverine's like, fuck you, Ogun.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So then he finds a villain that's dead, that it doesn't matter. His name's Cyber. I don't know why he's here.
Baron is, he knows a lot about Cyber.
I want to bitch about this, because Cyber was...
Fuck you, Phil.
So Cyber was a major Wolverine villain at one point. Basically, he was like Wolverine's drill instructor. He was a sociopath who was like a serial killer, and basically... Instead of being executed, like a shady government organization hired him to basically break down the group of people to become living weapons. And Wolverine was Cyber's recruit. Basically, Cyber was the only person Wolverine was scared of. And basically, like one big story with Cyber was Cyber's first story was Wolverine working up the courage to deal with this guy who basically, when he was much weaker, much less skilled, basically made him his bitch. And now he had to overcome all the childish fear he had to overcome Cyber. Cyber gets brought into the story just to die. His first appearance is a dead guy. And I find that's really fucking stupid.
I was going to say, that does sound pretty cool.
Yeah. But like, why even bring him in? His first appearance is just being dead.
He gets a 2-page spread, too.
Yeah,
of his dead body
in acid. Yeah,
he's an interesting character. A lot of history over, and he's just here to be dead. I mean, I hate it.
If you're gonna have him in acid, you should have Jared Leto jump in and dance with him.
Exactly.
No, make out with him.
Yeah.
They have like the Final Fantasy X kiss underwater, except in acid.
So this is when Ogun puts on his stupid fucking mask, which is just like this smiley.
This is another reason why you guys like you can follow the story and get it, but I don't know the logistics behind like is it bad or good that he has this mask, or what happens when he destroys it? Because he's like, I have another mask. It's like, you don't need the mask for possessing Kitty Pryde, but you need it for possessing this guy?
No, I thought he was talking about the guy he was possessing as his mask.
Yeah, no, that's what he was saying.
No, but then why is he wearing a mask?
Just because he's like, look, I'm Ogun now.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's just like, comics usually have some visual cues of which character is which, and Ogun's is a mask. Yeah.
So basically, Ogun is possessing this guy, and he's like, I'm going to jump into this acid unless you come with me, and I can turn you over to Cornelius. And
no, he's saying, I'm going to jump into this acid if you don't let me walk away. Like, I'll let it slide. I failed to get you, but if you keep going after me, Wolverine, I'm going to jump into this acid and kill the guy I'm possessing.
Mm-hmm.
And he offers him a bunch of regen serum. And he's like, keep it. I'm gonna go see Cornelius right now.
And he's like, please don't kill this guy. I'm still a good guy. I'm Wolverine. I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
Please.
Please.
Don't kill this Japanese businessman.
And that's the end of the penultimate.
It ends on a full page of Cornelius's face as he's working on something, and the text box just says, "I'm coming." And which, again, like it doesn't show you who he is.
But the glasses, the reflection in his glasses, it looks pretty Weapon X-y.
Does it? It just looks like he's working on tech.
I didn't know that he was that until the last issue.
I think that's very fair, because I forgot to until the last issue.
Yes. Somebody's like, it works, guys, but I didn't fucking know.
I didn't know who this guy was. I'm like, okay, Cornelius, let's go. And then, so the last issue of this story is Wolverine breaking into the Weapon X facility. I think it is cool to have him come full circle. If you're going to kill a character off, go back to his origin is a cool way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always love this. Like in Medical Cell form, at the end, Solid Snake goes back to Shadow Moses and stuff like that. When a character's about to die, he goes to where it all began.
Spoilers.
Especially if you're like a storied character. You have a lot behind you, a lot of history and lore.
Also, just to clarify Phil's statement, it's not actually a spoiler because you know from the beginning that Solid Snake's gonna die in that fucking story.
Kidding.
I know, but then readers are gonna say, "Well, Sly's a piece of shit. He's spoiling all this shit."
Readers? You mean listeners? Jesus, Sly.
They're everything but listeners, Ryan.
The only spoiler I was actually saying don't spoil was Logan because I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But everything else you can spoil. Everything else in the world.
Yeah. So you know what happened in fucking Game of Thrones?
So he goes back to Weapon X. And he sees new test subjects, like he was experimented on, and there are some cool flashbacks here, where he remembers when he was an experiment.
You do get some cool, like, as he's going in, he has to like kill the guards, and he fashions these fake claws that he like tapes to his hands, which are a little silly. But it's a cool way.
It's like when you're a kid and you might want to imitate Wolverine, you make like knives and tape them to your hands. Like, I'm Wolverine.
And then you murder a bunch of guards.
Yeah, like Sly did. Taped knives to his hands as a kid. I'm Wolverine.
He would never. Sly would just wear sunglasses and be like, I'm just like Cyclops.
You guys are mocking, but I literally did all these things.
I love the idea of you running around the house being insecure and being like, I'm playing Cyclops.
Well, I said as a kid, I met last week. I did this last week.
He had an accident with the knife hands and then said, I hate Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm Cyclops forever.
He's a bad role model.
But they have these text boxes as he's going through finding all these guys where like he smells the guard. He doesn't like go up and smell them, but before as he's running at them, there's a text box for smell saying fear, and then as he's like going up the stairs, there's the text box for pain that says right leg, and it's a real cool way to let you know the inside of Wolverine's head without exposition.
Yeah,
like just how efficient and cool he is.
It sounded like a joke before when I was saying they had good video games after them, but there's actually in the PS2 or GameCube era Wolverine game has that as a big aspect.
360, you dingus.
Is it 360?
Yeah, because I played a demo for it. There weren't demos on PS2 that you didn't receive in the mail.
Actually, there were, but you had to get the CD for it.
That's what I'm saying.
What about those demos from the Pizza Hut PS1 disc, Darryl, where you could play Parappa the Rapper?
I'm saying demos you didn't receive in the or like demos that you couldn't download.
Okay, I understand. So
we're going way too far in this concept.
Sorry.
The point is that the sense of smell and stuff is used in the game, and it's a big aspect of Wolverine being a good hunter, is that he uses these things that regular humans don't as like an animal hunting his prey.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we meet Cornelius behind some unbreakable glass, and he starts saying how he fucked up by making Wolverine.
Oh, wait, hold on. One thing I just want to point out that this is I know this isn't important, but there's a cool couple pages of Wolverine like looking in, like leaning on the glass and then seeing like the new people, and the guy that's laying there. The tech that's there, it's this huge metal blade that's in the guy's dick.
I see it.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, he said he failed with Logan.
Yeah, he's like, I really fucked up by making you. Instead, I'm gonna make other killers.
Well, what he said was, my mistake was you were an animal. I took an animal and made it into a soldier. I should have taken a soldier and made it into
a
right.
soldier.
So it turns out all this. We heard there's a little bit of foreshadowing in the first issue where it's like some athletes went missing in an airplane, blah blah blah. He's basically been stealing athletes and military people and trying to basically do Weapon X on them, so that they are going to be super soldiers, but actually not like animalistic like Wolverine.
Yeah, they need to obey their contractors.
His mentality is really warped here, but I think it's on purpose because I think he's gone insane with the guilt that he created Wolverine.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, so he's like, he uses the AK-47 analogy where he's like, the person who created that, it's a weapon that's been used for, decades now by everyone. And even though the creator might be dead, like it's like he's immortal now through his creation.
Yeah, and he wants his legacy to be more than making a killer unkillable. He wants to also make like the peak of humanity instead of an animal like Wolverine.
Yeah. And Wolverine's like, and he's like, so yeah, I need your healing factor because I keep experimenting on these people and they die every time.
Maybe you should take that blade out of their dick.
I'm like looking through the comic now to find that. I see it. He's like, yeah. So I've been using the serum that I cheated, that you got cheated with in the second issue, but it's not good enough. So I need you. And he's like, too bad, bro.
I actually really like the way he tells him. He laughs and then slashes his hand and slaps it against the glass, and it's like just bleeding. And it's 3 separate panels where normally you would watch Wolverine heal, and it doesn't, and Cornelius is like, well, fuck.
Yeah, he's like, well, kill him. And then some random guy shows up.
I think he's a new character. They need to give him a name, Major Sharp, and he looks like something out of, like, I don't know, like sci-fi.
He looks like a Tron guy.
I was gonna say Tron, yeah.
And this is what's confusing about this comic, because I didn't know, is this an old callback or is this a new guy?
Yeah, they treat it like I had to wait for them to confirm it, because they say like he's my new weapon, Wolverine. I made him with this project.
What it's worth, they say that in the first full panel he's in. It's not like
I know, but giving him a full design and like saying his name is Major Sharp and introducing like it's a big thing.
Yeah, and the dude's glowing, so you're like, he has a power.
Like he created this design just for this one scene. Like he gets his ass kicked pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And then it's just a little montage where the AK-47 thing happens, and he's like, "You're a Wolverine. You're an animal. That's a good name for you, but I want to create something better." And it shows at the same time a pretty gruesome montage of people in fear being experimented upon, getting their arms ripped open, and then all this shit that happens at this place. And then
no one's even under an anesthetic.
Yeah, he tricks Sharp into breaking the unbreakable glass. Then he knocks him out in one punch because comics. And then
he knocks him down and then he crushes his skull.
No, he crushes his helmet, Brian.
Yeah, that's definitely his skull.
Yeah, his skull's
under it. What's under a helmet?
He might be a robot though. Who knows?
Who knows? Who gives
a robot with human ears? That's the only human thing on him.
And he's like, "Turn the machines off." And then he's like, "No." And then he turns the machines.
Cornelius Stark is like, "No." You have to clarify who's talking, Phil.
Okay, Wolverine is like,
Cornelius is like, "Turn the machines off." And Wolverine's like, "No, I like this."
Why would he say that? It's
I know, but make it clear.
Yeah, if you're not a fucking moron, you can follow.
If you're not a fucking moron, you can understand everything we're saying clearly. The podcast is too smart for you fucking plebs.
Yeah. So,
Wolverine says turn off the machines, and Cornelius says
Wolverine, also known as Logan, tells Abraham Cornelius, the guy who started the Weapon X program.
Fuck you.
He tells him to turn these machines off, and what these machines are doing is there's a vat of adamantium that is pumping into the bones of everybody else.
Yeah.
Liquid adamantium.
Yes.
Obviously.
And the dick of the one guy.
Yeah, the bone. And so Cornelius just basically hits the button to infuse adamantium into people and then runs away. And Wolverine uses his claws for the last time to break the vat of adamantium before it can spill into all these people. And it all spills onto him instead. And he becomes like this melted mass of adamantium in the shape of a man. And he grabs the regen serum and puts it into each of the patients before he walks out.
Also, I want to point out one line we missed over that was really nice. When he was talking about how he wants to die, Wolverine said scratch that dying stuff. I realize now that I want to actually die now because not like I want to die of suicide, but like I'm happy growing old and eventually dying now, because now it means I can't just be an asshole and say I'll make up for it at some infinite point in the future. I have to make every decision counts. And here, I think that's where it pay off for that statement, because he could choose to save himself, but instead he chooses to save these people before.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. And then basically we go to the roof where Cornelius is trying to escape, and Cornelius is dying from the explosion. And then massive adamantium man Wolverine walks to the roof, and he has his last confrontation with Cornelius. Cornelius is like, I tried to make the world a better place. I tried to change the world. What did you ever do besides kill people? And then you have a really nice montage of small panels of him being one of the X-Men, him being a teacher at school, him being in Japan, him being a soldier, him making out with Jean Grey maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And it's all the stuff he's done besides kill people. And then he walks away from Cornelius' dead body, basically collapses in front of the sunset and stares off into it and thinks, in the last narration box, just says enough.
And this is where I think the narration pays off, because it's the only narration box that isn't in a color. So everything is his senses. It's all strictly physical. It's his senses. This is the first inner monologue that's not a sense, and it's a white box, and it's what did he ever do enough as the sun sets over his metal body.
Okay, all right.
As I will say, this story I probably would have said like it's a 6 out of 10 beforehand. This ending raises it up to like a 7 out of 10 for me, because it's a very powerful moment that Cornelius' creator is like, you're a monster, an animal. What did you ever do for anyone? And like he just he doesn't even care what Cornelius thinks. He just walks past him, and he knows that he did enough in his life.
And the thing I really like about it too is I feel like it's the instinct when you write like a Death of Wolverine is like, let's have like 10 million ninjas and he kills everybody, and like I really like that it's a split-second decision that he gets there to the Weapon X place and realizes that he's making 4 more Wolverines, and he has 1 second to decide, do I give my life to save these people? And he does. And not only does he take the adamantium away from them, he gives them his last chance of healing. And it's like Wolverine's whole life, he's always been like, he does what needs to be done and all that stuff. And it's not like, I like that the plot hasn't been like, we don't care who these people are. It doesn't matter. It's just like more Wolverines could be made, and he gives himself to save them. And I think that that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, final thoughts?
I like this book.
I like this too, but I liked it like an average story. I'm like, it wasn't like one of my favorites, but it was good.
I probably feel the same. I think it's average for me too.
I think for me, the art especially puts it over the top.
The art is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's quieter than I expected from a Death of Wolverine book, and that's why I like it. And I think you could see, even though like he stumbles a little bit trying to bring in all these references, I think that you could tell that Soule gets like how to write the character, and I think you could tell that he gets how to like structure the story in a way that I felt had a big emotional payoff at the end.
There's something I said in the Facebook chat to the rest of the Divisive Issues guys, and it was that I respect this story more than the other one we read. And it's because it felt like it is trying to properly honor Wolverine and trying to even if it isn't a continuation of the whatever Wolverine runs were going on at the time, it at least feels admirable in what it attempted to do.
So speaking of the other run, next time on Divisive Issues, we had the death of Wolverine. Next time we cover the death of Cyclops.
Death of X.
Hashtag Cyclops did nothing wrong.
It's Cyclops was right. Yeah. I have a t-shirt that says that.
Sorry. I'm not good with hashtags.
But, so we will talk about that soon. And I hope you guys are ready. So you actually have time to read the book if you want, don't.
Yeah.
Don't. Oh my god. All my praise for this book, I will rain scorn on the other one.
I actually didn't hate it as much the second time. Sneak peek.
I actually like Death of X better.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the next book was more interesting.
No fucking way.
Okay,
All right.
so
you got a sneak peek of our opinions.
Yeah.
we're gonna be yelling about this for 2 weeks, so come back.
Yeah.
So, to make sure you don't miss part 2, you should subscribe on iTunes, right, guys? Perfect segue.
Yeah.
And rate and review and all that stuff. And I mentioned it on Oops last week, but I do also want to mention here, the Comrade Radio Network has a new show called Falling in Love Montage, where they talk about chick flicks, and it's really great. And I feel like it's kind of really similar to what we do, where they take these things that everyone usually thinks is dumb, and by they I mean Helen and Valerie, and they actually analyze them, and some of them aren't dumb. Some of them are great. So you should definitely check it out. They're a great show with great hosts. So that's all I got. Anybody have any last thoughts on Death of Wolverine?
No.
Okay.
Enough.
I just enough.
Enough.
I can't believe you like Death of X more. I just can't.
We can discuss it, God.
No, we're gonna argue about this for the next 2 weeks, so I'm getting started. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you guys for listening to Divisive Issues. I've been a beach covered in hundreds of dead supervillains.
I've been Cyber in a vat of acid.
I've been Wolverine putting on samurai armor for 3 seconds.
And I've been Sensei Ogun in a businessman's body.
Stay in continuity.